Hi, welcome to the Pearls and Polish Podcast, episode 52. I'm your host, Rachel, coming to you from just outside Sacramento, California. I'm joined today by the chaotic co-host, Sabine. She is my 7-month-old schnoodle puppy. She's currently laying next to me on a little blanket, taking a nap. She had a vet appointment this morning for a checkup, and it was a little emotionally trying for her. So lots of barking, lots of shaking and trying to hide. So she's gonna kind of sleep it off. But I'm so excited to spend some time with you talking about knitting, books, movies, and just what we're up to. So if you are a new viewer, welcome. I'm so excited you found us. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm so excited to spend some time with you talking about the stuff that we make. So grab something to drink, something to work on, and let's get started. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry. Links to those are in the description below, along with my email address and all the dyers, designers, anyone else that I mentioned in today's episode. You're going to find them down there. Let's start with finished objects. We have quite a few because it's been about 3 weeks since my last episode. End of summer was happening and it was choose to either do an episode or spend time with my kids and family. I chose my kids because they're pretty cute. So they are back in school and the hope is that we'll be back to like a regular schedule like we are during the school year. But finished objects. I have 4 pairs of socks. I am still doing my Shorty socks for summer sock camp. So this is the first pair. I don't remember if I finished these first, but here's the first one I'm going to show you. This one is called Stick Season. These are all dyed up by Pasley Knits in Canada. The dyer's name is Coley. This is from her seasons box from 2023. I saved them all up for summer sock camp. So this is part of the autumn collection. And then this pattern, there we go. The pattern I did was the Shorty sock set by Summer Lee. And the pattern actually has a couple different variations to the Shorty sock. But I just picked the base pattern. I'm doing the exact same pattern for all, I think, 14 pairs of socks that I'm doing. One, because it was easy to memorize. I didn't have to think too hard or keep notes anywhere. And then 2, I just really wanted a ton of Shorty socks because I don't have as many in my collection as I would like. This one is called Cabin in the Woods. And I took these camping and worked on these while I was in the woods camping. And this was really fun colorway to work on. And then the last one I have, I finished last night. I haven't had a chance to block them yet. But these ones are called Apple Picking. And I really love those colors. So autumn is all done. I am finally working on the winter colors. I'm going to show you those in just a minute. But those are done. They don't take me as long because they are shorter. So that is one of the many things that I enjoy about them. The last thing that is finished are, hold on, there's a sticker on there. As you can tell, we're in my kids' room again. The lighting here is better. It's quieter. I can close the door. These are my solar system socks, and they are so long. Let me show you just one. So this corresponds with the actual solar system. Before I tell you about the socks, let me tell you about the dyer. These are dyed up by Gauge Dye Works. They're also based out of Canada, I'm almost positive. They are specialists in self-striping yarn. And so they've done a couple different series where like colors and how much stripage you get corresponds to different things. They do it with words. They've done it with orca pods. But I feel like this is probably their most well-known colorway, which is the whole solar system. So I started with the sun down here. And then let's see if I can remember the planets in order. But this one is Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Saturn, I'm pretty sure this is Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and then this little pink stripe at the top is Pluto. And how thick the color is dependent on like how much space or like how big it is. So like Saturn is really big, and then you have these darker stripes which like show even bigger amounts of measurement, and then the gray stripes is also correspond to like the distance between planets. So they've done all this sort of math to make the numbers like shrink down to a sock. They also have a version where it's like one way, so you start at the sun and you end at Pluto. This one was you start at the sun, you get to Pluto, and then you go backwards. So I ended up taking a picture almost every day of these socks as I was knitting them. So I would do like the sun and I take a picture, and then I would do like the next little section and take a picture. And I did this whole series on it, and it was really fun. One, because it like encouraged me to take daily pictures. That's something I struggle with. But also, I was looking up facts about these different planets to like put something interesting on the description. And that was really fun too, to learn different things about the planets. So these are considerably longer than like a normal sock for me would be. So let me pull out an example. This is a sock. I'm going to talk about this in works in progress, but this is what I will typically do for a sock. So the cuff, I usually do 20 rounds. 2x2 rib is my favorite, but there's usually 20 rounds here. The leg, I usually do 60 rounds. And then starting measuring here at the end of the leg and where I start my heel flap is about 70 rounds. And then my toe. That's like my kind of perfect formula for me. Like this is so much longer. Let's see if I can hold this like sideways. It's so much longer. Actually, let me hold it this way. So I'm holding it toe to toe. I'm lining up the heels. And I have like an extra maybe 30 to 40 rounds, and then the cuff. And then I ended up doing longer cuffs because this is such a longer sock. This is the most I've done on a sock ever. And yet it was so fun because I wanted to do the whole solar system. And yes, Pluto is a planet. I don't care what NASA says, it's a planet. And so I wanted to make sure I included Pluto. At the same time, I didn't want to have a ton of like extra bulkage with the cuff, not the heel, the cuff. One thing I did not take into account was the leg length. I should have tried this on probably when I got to about here to see how much leg was actually going to be needed. In retrospect, I probably would have either gone up a couple sizes to make a purposely like slouchier leg, but I didn't. I didn't figure that out until I was like up to here. And then I went back and forth of, do I just rip it all out and pick up a bigger needle size, or do I just knit extra in the cuff, and then just purposely wear them really slouchy and just kind of stick the cuff where I would normally put it and then just scrunch everything down, which is the option I ended up going with. But these, so much fun. The pattern I did was Monday Socks by Opie. And I've done that a couple times with different self-striping yarns. But let me kind of arrange this. These were so big they didn't fit on my blockers. So I was like, I'm not even gonna block them. It's just not worth half blocked socks. I thought about like arranging my blockers like this way to like get enough leg, but they're not perfectly like straight. There's a bit of an angle. So those wouldn't work either. So I was like, no, just, it's okay. We don't have to block these. So my finished photo is me actually wearing them. But I did the Monday socks. So I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera. The Monday Socks by Opie are known for this section right here. So you do these toe up, and as you're knitting toe up, once you hit a certain spot, you start increasing on the top of the foot. And so you increase the back of the foot or what would be considered the bottom of the foot, stays the same number. Then you put in a short row heel. In this case, I actually did an afterthought heel because I wanted to use gray and not the yellow. But the idea is you put your heel in and then you decrease until you get, or this side, you decrease here until you get back to your original stitch count. And that way you can have a short row heel and a gusset, and it's the best of both worlds. I typically do not do a toe-up sock. I typically don't do a short row heel. I love toe-up socks and I love short row heels. However, they just don't fit well on me. I either need to add a couple elements so I have more of a gusset, or I need to do a striped sock so that it will expand a bit where I need to and contract where I need it to, which is why I mostly do heel flap and gusset, because of this little magical triangle right here where it just gives me the space I need, one, to put my sock on, and two, for it to fit well and not pull in strange places. But Sarah Opie kind of fixes all that with this handy little oh, you can see it better that way. This handy triangle right here in the middle. And that you can have a toe-up sock, especially for self-striping. It doesn't disrupt the stripes too much, and you can still have that short row heel. So if you're like me and you need to have a heel flap and or some sort of gusset, try out this pattern because it has worked really well for me for the last couple of times I've done it. So that is my solar system socks. All right, let's go into works in progress. I have 3. This is also going to be kind of slash the end of summer sock camp. So works in progress. The first one is, since I've already shown it to you, these socks. These are my Prism Socks. So this is by Lindsay of Hello Stella, and here is her label. And Lindsay specializes in non-superwash wools, so wools that have not been treated to prevent felting. And she's just made the switch from acid dye yarns to natural dyed yarns. Most yarn dyers use acid dye yarns. It gives you these really great colors. It also keeps the colors from fading. Lindsay has made the switch to natural dyed yarns, so using like walnuts and indigo and all sorts of fun things. So she's been documenting that all on her Instagram page. Definitely go check it out. But before she made that switch, she would she would dye up this colorway called Prism. And she only did it once a year, and it was like a special thing. I don't know if she's gonna continue doing it, to be completely honest, because it requires acid dye yarns. But this is the most like psychedelic colorway. It's pastel and neon all at the same time, and I love it. So I've had this in my stash for a couple years, and I've just been waiting for the perfect time to work on it. So Lindsay posted that they're gonna have, or that they're currently having, a Hello Stella make along. So the idea is you use your Hello Stella yarns and you make something. And I think it goes till the end of August, like first day or 2 of September. So I'm doing a pair of socks because it's summer sock camp. So here is my second sock, and I use these little pins on this side. I use these pins to kind of keep track of where I am. So I count every 10 rows and then I put a pin in. And then when I'm working on the second sock, I transfer the pins from this sock to this sock. So I know that they're both the same. So the pattern I'm doing is the String of Lights. It's got like just a little bit of textured rib, so it has some texture to it, so it kind of keeps it interesting. At the same time, it gives you that nice stretch of the rib, but it's also not overwhelming where you lose just the stardom, the starness, the amazingness of the colorway. So this has been a lot of fun. If you haven't worked with non-superwash yarns, definitely check it out. It's really interesting to feel the difference between the yarns. This one is there's someone outside, and I don't know if they're on like a scooter or like a leaf blower, but they're making noise. If you hear it, I am so sorry. What was I? this yarn. This yarn is 100% merino wool, non-superwash. So it feels very soft, but at the same time, you kind of get that little texture that you get in non-superwash wools. So definitely check out Lindsay's work. Maybe try out some non-superwash. She has some really great textures. All right, my other two works in progress are both for summer sock camp as well. These are the winter colorways for the Pasley Knits Seasons boxes. So the first one I'm going to show you is called Snowy Forest. I mixed up the names in my notebook about Snowy Forest, Snowy Walk, and Winter Walks. Somehow words got changed and switched. So this one is called Snowy Forests. But it is this gorgeous green, which when you look at it, we're like, yeah, that's a snowy forest. It is this gorgeous, like muted green. I feel like it's got, I want to say gray tones, but it's not really gray. There's definitely white, but it's a very muted green. Very different than like this green. This one is very bright and warm. This one is a very cool green. So first sock is done. I am working on the second sock. So I have finished my cuff. I've done my heel flap. I have finished all of my gusset decreases. So now I have 45 rounds for the leg. No, the foot. For the foot. The leg is done. It's teeny tiny. I have 45 rounds left for the foot and then the toe. So when I kind of break that down in my knitting planner, that for me looks like on day one, I do the cuff, the little leg, and the heel flap. I also pick up my stitches, but I don't work on them. So then day two, I try and do all of the gusset decreases, and that's about 30 rounds. And then day three, I try to do another 30 rounds for the foot, and day four, I do 15 rounds and the toe. That's if I can stay kind of on schedule. The hard part is having to factor in life because I have kids and I have a dog and I have a husband and we have school. School has started for us. I work part-time. We have Taekwondo, a couple times a week. I have Taekwondo classes at night. So it's one of those, it looks really great on paper, but then reality sets in and you have to account for, okay, what can I actually do? So I kind of set the goals, but they're pretty loose if they need to be. The second sock that I'm working on, I just cast on this morning. The dog was up at 4:30 in the morning. Someone was making noise downstairs, so I've been up since 4:30 in the morning. But this one is called Winter Walks. And I don't know how well the camera's gonna pick that up, but it is the most palest blue, gray, and white. It's just a very light colored yarn. It's not full on white, but it's definitely pretty pale. So this morning I got the cuff and the leg done, and I started the first couple rounds of the heel flap. So my goal for today is to finish the heel flap, turn the heel, and just pick up the stitches for the gusset decreases. And tomorrow I'll start decreases on this. Since we're talking about goals, my goal for this one for Prism is actually 10 rounds a day. So every day I do 10 rounds and I put a little stitch marker and then I'm done. I have completed the whole leg. I finished that this morning. So this means I need to do my heel flap. So tomorrow will be the heel flap, the turn, and pick up the gusset stitches, and then I will stick to 10 rounds a day. That has helped in that I don't kind of get obsessive about it. I would love to spend more time on this sock. However, I did commit to finishing all of my Pasley Knits season colorways for summer sock camp. I still have this one, which I just started. I still have this one, which I just started this morning, and I have 2 others that I still need to do. So I need to set that boundary with the Prism Socks so that I can focus on these other colorways so I can finish and hit that goal. Because to me, that goal of finishing all 14 colors is a little stronger or a little more persistent, like there for me, than finishing the Prism Socks. I hope that makes sense. So what does that mean for the end of summer sock camp? It ends at the end of the month. And so I kind of need to hustle. So I'm setting kind of more firm boundaries with this one because I just started it. And I'm going to spend most of my time finishing this second sock. Once this second sock is done, then I kind of shift everything around. So then this one gets the majority of my attention. The next one will get like that strong boundary of 10 rows, 10 rows, 10 rows. When this is done, then I will shift everything again. So I have, let me check my knitting planner. As of today's recording, today is day 84 of summer sock camp. There's exactly 100 days left. So or 100 days total. I don't know how many left. But I have about 2 weeks left to finish these 2 pairs of socks, start and finish 2 more pairs of socks. I think I can do it. It takes me about 7 to 8 days to do both socks because they're shorties. So if I just kind of stay focused, I think I'll be able to make it. If I absolutely have to, I will pause my Prism Socks because I have an extra day or 2 with those to be able to finish all of my Pasley Knits yarn. I knew it was a big goal when I set it at the beginning of the summer, and yet I still think I can attain it, but we'll see what we are able to do. Okay, so that's all the knitting for now. Let's talk about what we're reading and watching. I am reading The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and if you've been here for the year, I read all of her Grishaverse books, and I finished the King of Scars books and the Seven of Crows books, and I really enjoyed that kind of universe. This is very different. It's not in that Grishaverse kind of world setting. This one's actually based in Yale, and it's a little darker than what her previous works have been. I've still been really enjoying it. It's still the same narrator who's done all of her other books, so that's been fun of having like a familiar voice read the book, but just kind of be warned, it's a little darker kind of content, but it's been really good. So my kids have been listening to The Wintersmith by Terry Pratchett, and this is the 3rd out of 5 books in that Tiffany Aching series. It's part of like the whole Discworld universe. However, this is the last one they're going to listen to. My husband has read these multiple times. Terry Pratchett is one of his favorite authors, and he did warn me that the next 2 books talk about more adult topics, so that would not be appropriate for our kids in this age and stage. So they're going to stop listening to those. I'm going to keep listening to them because I've actually gotten really invested in these stories. And then I think we're going to start another series for them. We do a lot of listening to audiobooks with our kids. Usually it's when we're like eating breakfast and getting ready for our day in the car. It has just been really great to be able to share our love of literature and still kind of be able to multitask. And then also when we're in the car, they're not asking me a ton of questions and distracting me while I'm driving, which has been really great for like general safety. But that's what we're reading right now. What we're watching, we watched the Olympics. We watched all sorts of sports. We watched it all through Paramount, like the app. We have it up on our TV, and we actually had access to a lot more sports than we would have watched. So we saw diving, swimming, gymnastics, rugby, fencing, the equestrian sports, and water polo. And there was one more that we saw that was really fun. I've blanked on it. We saw canoeing. And so it was one of those like, oh, I've never watched rugby before, but I'm a rugby fan now. I love this sport. This is great. We saw artistic gymnastics. That was amazing. And so it was great to be able to, one, be able to just have access to all these different sports that we wouldn't have had before, but also to be able to kind of tell my kids the stories of these different athletes, what they've had to do to get to the Olympics, what their kind of commitment to their sport has been, which has been really great to be able to share these stories with our kids, talk about perseverance, talk about hard work, what does like winning look like. We had a whole conversation during women's gymnastics about, my kid said, oh, I really hope everyone else loses so that our favorite Olympian wins. And we had this whole conversation about like, no, I'd rather that they all do their very best. Oh no, the comment was, I hope one of them makes a mistake. That was it. I hope they make mistakes so that our favorite wins. I said, I would rather have them do their absolute best and know that if I was competing, which I am not at an Olympic level at all, but if I were competing, that I won against the very best because I did my very best, versus they all made mistakes and I won because I didn't. So that was a really great conversation, talking about like hard work and, you know, what does winning actually look like and what does success look like. So that was fun. On top of that, just kind of watching things here and there. I haven't like picked a show completely that I'm going to focus on. But I did watch the movie The Long Game on Netflix, and that was really good. It's based on a true story of these 4 or 5 young men in Los Angeles in the 50s. They are Mexican Americans and they start a golf team. And this was like impactful for me because that's kind of not my story, but like my grandfather's story. My grandfather he has since passed on, but he was a golfer who was also Mexican American growing up in the 50s in California, and just kind of the comments that they would get and attitudes they would have against speaking Spanish in public versus not speaking Spanish in public, and all the things that he and his family did to make sure that they were as American as possible. And then kind of seeing how that has trickled down through my parents and then through me. So that was a really great movie if you're interested in watching that. All right, life updates. Kids are back in school, which has been great. We're still in that kind of honeymoon phase where like everything is new and fun and we're getting to know our teachers and our friends. So everything is still pretty fun. We haven't started like working yet. So that will be interesting once the work starts. But we're really happy with the teachers that they got, and they've got some really sweet groups of friends in those classes. So that's been great. We did go camping, and I am an outdoorsy girl, as in I like going outside and then I like going back inside. I'm like a house cat. I'm not the first one to volunteer to like, let's go camping or let's go backpacking. We are very blessed to have friends who love going camping, and they do it all the time as a family. So they invite us to tag along, and they just tell me what to bring, and I bring it. But it's been fun to like go camping with our friends. So all of our kids have friends to play with and be able to be outside and enjoy nature and then go home after like 2 or 3 nights. So we had a great time. No one got hurt. One kid stepped on a hornet's nest, but it was quickly fixed. We did see a bear. We were in kind of like the foothills, I guess you would say. And so there are bear boxes. So there's these big metal boxes that the handle's like tucked up and under so that bears can't get in them, because bears will get into your car or whatever, into your tent, and they'll eat your food. So you put all of your food in these bear boxes. So we were at like an established campground. They had like actual toilets, and they had these bear boxes all over the place. They had special fire pits. And so we were gonna get ready to go on a hike, and we see a little brown bear like running around the campground. We were towards like the outskirt of the campground. He was old enough to be on his own, but he was still pretty young, and he was just looking for food or looking for trouble. Thankfully, we had a dog on our camp, so the dog kind of alerted us to the bear first. The bear was kind of walking through where all our kids were playing earlier that day. So they like immediately, we can't play there anymore because the bear is going to find us. And he just kind of walked by and stared at us and then continued walking. And a couple campsites down, they had left their trash out. I think they had like left for a little bit and were going to come back. And the bear got into the trash and tore it up and got in, just trying to find something to eat. So that was something that was new for me. I've never seen a bear out in the wild. I've always seen them in zoos or sanctuaries kind of behind glass, but that was a little thrilling and also a little terrifying. And then the other fun thing is we saw the Milky Way. I've always seen pictures of Milky Way, but I've never like been out in nature seeing it myself. So that was really fun to like, oh, like it actually looks like that. This isn't just, a artist representation of the Milky Way. This is what it really looks like. So that was a really good time. So the last thing I want to talk about is a giveaway. We hit 700 subscribers like 2 weeks ago, which is why I kept going back and forth of like, should I do an episode? Should I not? I just didn't have time. So we are celebrating 700 subscribers. And this time I'm giving away this sock set by Yarnacious. It's got not one, but two corresponding minis. This one is called Duchess Dino. This is on their Salta Fingering sock set base. 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. The main skein is 437 yards, 100 grams. The minis are each 87 yards, 20 grams. And I'll show you that. This colorway was exclusive to the festival last year, the wool festival last year that did so poorly that everyone was really, really mad about it. So if you know which festival I'm talking about, you know. If you don't, it was a really bad experience for everybody. But anyways, this was the exclusive colorway that was dyed up, let me hide my face, for that show. And because it was such a disaster, they had all these colorways that they had to bring home. So they ended up selling it on their website. I was able to snatch one, but I'm giving it away to one of you. So how do you earn this? In the comments below, tell me what you did this summer. What was your most fun memory? Either you went somewhere, or you saw someone that you cared about, or you had a new adventure, or you sat at home and worked on like house stuff, or you knit, or you spent time with people that you care about. Let me know what you did this summer. That will get you an entry into winning this. I will announce the winner in next week's episode. I feel like this is one of the things we have to say, that scammers are out there. Be careful. I will never ask you for money because I'm giving this away. I'm not asking for you to buy it. So, have discernment. But that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I had so much fun spending some time with all of you. Make sure you comment below for our giveaway, and I will see you guys next week.